My name is Andrés Aguilar. I am one of the leads of development for Accenture Applied Intelligence on the Search and Content Analytics division. My background is mainly on the unstructured content processing. We develop unstructured content processing frameworks and tools. And recently, I've been leading the efforts for the Content Analytics Studio, which is basically a visualization, machine learning, and application workflow tool, which already existed on Accenture. But this time, we are connecting that to generate Solr visualizations and using Solr as the base for analytics and machine learning. All right. So this is the agenda for today. First, I'm going to explain why we want to have search embedded with our existing analytics application workflow tools. I'm going to explain what is the Applied Intelligence Platform, or AIP. Then I'm going to introduce what's the AIP Design Studio and how we managed to integrate the AIP Design Studio with Solr in order to have a more complete visualization tool for this search engine. And at the end, I'm going to have a visualization demo, and I'm also going to give an overall demo of mostly all the capabilities that we have with Design Studio. All right. So first, before we start, this is where all the work we've been doing for the past couple of decades is. We have the business data. We have the business user, which want to leverage its own data through search, and we've been managing to build all these enterprise search applications on top of the business data. And on the other side, we have analytics, where we have data scientists crunching some of the business data, applying some machine learning algorithms, and then generating reports to the business users. Okay, but what's the flow of these separate approaches? We have, on one side, we have the search and the business users using search through finding its own data, and on the other side, we have the data scientists generating reports and generating insights for the business users, but it was not very well integrated on the way that real-time data was not being able to get processed as fast as the business users wanted to have it. So, for example, if a business user want to include some of the recent data, they have to wait until the next batch of processing that the data scientist generates in order to have the insights they need for that kind of data or insights that they really need. So this is our goal. So our goal here is to integrate in a holistic application the business users and the data scientists, where they can interact with each other in the same application. So this makes the analytics process part of the business process. And basically what this generates is that the analytics outcomes can become actionable business decisions on the business levels. So this is basically the goal that we have with Design Studio and AIP. So let's continue to the next one. So now that we know what our goal is here, I'm going to introduce what is the Applied Intelligence Platform. It's basically analytics as a service platform, which is a cloud-based platform. And it is used to ingest, store, and transform the data that we have in real time in order to generate actionable intelligence for the business users to actually make decisions on the insights in real time. So this is the stack that we have for AIP. On the very base, we have the infrastructure layer, which is the cloud layer. This is a cloud agnostic platform, so we can deploy this to Azure or Amazon. Then we have the data layer. The data layer is basically the one in charge of getting the data out of the different content repositories and pushing all the data into the next layer, which is the storage layer. And in this case, we have we also have an agnostic platform here because we support Cloudera, Hortonworks, with which probably they're gonna have a single distribution now because they're merging. And on the next layer, we have the analytics layer, which we support many different analytics tools such as R, Revolution Analytics, Python, Spark, and we have the visualization layer where we support Qlik, Tableau, and on the top level we have the analytics applications, which is basically where we integrate and orchestrate all the different human workflow that we want to build in order to provide this business process as part of the analytics. So these first 5 layers here are part of what we call the AIP execution engine, which is basically the toolset or that we provide to the business, to the data scientists in order to generate the insights that they need. And also this other layer here, which is the biggest one, this is where the Design Studio application sits on. This is basically where we can build applications where data scientists and business users can interact with each other in order to have a continuous application that is part of the business and can drive decisions. Okay, so what is Design Studio specifically? It is a very flexible application development tool that sits on top of the Applied Intelligence platform. It is very well integrated with advanced analytics, and it basically enables analytics to become part of the business process, like I was saying before. And we can also build personalized views for each one of the specific roles inside of the business. We have a drag and drop customizable widgets where you can basically build this kind of widgets we have here. We have a bunch of widgets out of the box that we can use to build this kind of applications. And you can also build your own widgets if you want, if you have the front-end knowledge to do that. We support these many statistical engines for the data scientists to use. And it is very well integrated with big data because it sits on top of AIP, which is like you were saying. Sorry, like you were watching here. It is a cloud-based platform that sits on top of Cloudera or Hortonworks, and you basically don't require any front-end knowledge in order to build this kind of applications. And I think that this is one of the biggest accomplishments that we have with Design Studio is that it allows very easily development processes on top of this tool. So we have 4 different layers here in the Design Studio application. The very first layer, which is this application configuration layer, it contains all the different tools that the developers need in order to do the configuration, configure all the different user roles, permissions, how the pages are going to interact with each other. We can code all the different events that can happen between the widgets. We also have the modeling layer here. This modeling layer is where it's basically the data scientist's playground. This is where the data scientists can create their models. They can compare each one of the different models that they create, and then they can deploy whatever model they are happy with in order for the business users to use in another stage of the application. Then we have the actionability layer, which is where basically the business users can create their own business models based on some business rules. And then we have the application layer where we orchestrate all the interaction between the users and the data and the different models that the data scientist creates on the modeling side. So, the application configuration layer, it comes with the page editor, where, like I was saying before, we have a very vast widget library that you can use. It is what you see is what you get approach. So this is an example of page interaction workflow. And this is the page editor where you can start adding the widgets that you need for your page here. And it also have a code editor, which makes the event handling very easy to use. So it is a Python-based code editor. So for example, when a user clicks on one of the bars on a bar chart, then you can program in Python what that event does. And then we have the user roles management, where you can, well, this is the code editor. And then we have the user roles management, where you can add more users, manage all the different roles that each user is going to have. Then we have the modeling layer. This is where the data scientists are going to come to build the models. And like you can see, this is a very easy to use application. This is a visual application where the data scientists can start playing around with the data. They can use outlier analysis. They can have missing management stages. They can also select from one of the pre-built modeling algorithms here, or they can also build their own new ones on top of this. Like in this example, we have 3 different algorithms based on Spark, but the data scientists can use R or Python in order to have their own algorithms for this kind of purposes. Then we have an evaluation stage where the data scientists can evaluate the performance of their models before they deploy that to production. Then these are some examples of the stages that the data scientists can use. And basically, we have here a performance analysis comparing 2 different models. This allows the data scientists to have a real-time insights on what model is better than the other one. Then we have the actionability layer. Like I was saying, the business user can create business rules where they can categorize their business data based on certain rules. Then we have they can build business models based on those business rules, where they can assign different weights to each one of the different rules. And then with that, they can generate a risk matrix for each one of the business models, assign some scores to each one of the categories on the matrix, and then they can assign some actions to each one of the group of entities on that matrix. So in this example, I don't know if it is visual. Yeah, in this case, we have that for all the blue labeled category, when there's a delay of 3 days on the payment, for example, then we send a SMS message, for example. That's one of the actions that you can do if you want. Okay, so the next one is the application layer. This is where the users can interact with each other. So in this example here, the user that is analyzing this data determines that this is the section of data that they want to focus on. So it can send a message to another user in the same application to say, hey, focus on this particular client profile. So this is where the human interaction can be built on. And well, now that we know what is Design Studio, what can be done, this is where the Solr part comes in. So we've managed to leverage faceting and complex query building in order to populate all these different widgets in Design Studio. It is possible that you can use Solr in order to do data mining using streaming expressions, analytics expressions inside of Solr in order to generate very powerful dashboards in Design Studio. So you can have also search-centric applications that leverage all these different analytics capabilities of Design Studio in order to improve the user experience. And why not? This is since we built this for Solr, we can leverage all the HDFS indexes that provide the failover and scalability indexes on Solr. And you can also build old school search applications like regular enterprise search applications with minimal to none front-end knowledge here. So let me go ahead and come here and show you how this looks like. I think it's better if I show you on first hand. Okay. So I think it's better if I duplicate the screen. Give me a second here. Right. So this is Design Studio. This is where you can basically start building your own pages on top of your application. Like you can see, I have a bunch of applications here. I can click on any one of these applications and start editing the page myself. I can add a new widget if I want here, and I have the list of widgets available. And I can also interact with the widgets and specify actions for each one of these widgets. And this is where the logics comes in, and this is a Python-based code editor that is built in the Design Studio application, where you can interact with events and populate the data that you want to see on the widgets. So let me show you this example. Here I have an index of some timesheets, basically, where users enter the amount of hours they worked on each one of the projects. And this application that I was showing you here is basically displaying this data from Solr directly. So this is how it looks like. Let me see if I can refresh this first. This is another one. This is the one that I want to show. So here we have a time series widget where we're plotting here the hours per project in a time series widget. You can also interact with this widget very easily. We also have a tree widget here for displaying the amount of, or the largest projects that have the most hours on the index. And this is a graph analysis widget where this is also built based on Solr facets. So for example, we can see that this project here, it had 28,000 hours in total. And we can also see which users contributed the most for each one of the projects here. So for example, this user have a lot of hours here, and we can see what are the distribution of these hours for this kind of user. So I also have another application here. This is another type of application that we can build. This is basically a data set that was taken from the healthcare open data of the US. This is diagnosis-related payments for each one of the hospitals around the US. And basically, you can see, we're combining search here with the visualization. So, for example, if you want to see only pulmonary, cardiac, I think it's better, cardiac-related results, then you just type cardiac, and like you can see, on these results here are all related to cardiac, and then you can also interact with the charts, and clicking on the states will lead you to where these hospitals are. And let's see another one here. Yeah, and then you can also build the old style search applications. Let me see where that is real quick. I have to deploy it. See if I can access it now. Yeah, well, in this case, I have here a basic outlier analysis dashboard using Solr. So this is based on the same data set of healthcare data. So, for example, if I do pulmonary related cases, I can then select which year I want to analyze, and then which state, for example, and then just click here and find outliers, and then I can see what are the percentage of the outliers on that data set. And this is all based on Solr facets. Let me show you also another cool thing here on this data set. I'll have to, well, sorry. So this is basically the visualization part, but there's also a deeper and most useful features of Design Studio. Which is basically where the data scientists can interact with the models that they deploy, for example. So in here we have a set of models that I have created for an sample data set. So in this case, here I have a couple of models. These are simple linear regression models. And then the data scientists can come and compare the performance on each one of these models. And if they deploy a new one, they can just come here and compare which is the performance on each one of these models. And if they determine that this regression model here is the best one, they can just click here and deploy this as the main model for the application. And if I want to create a new model here, I just click here, New Model, and I say, well, this is my newest model, and I click here on Advanced Visualize Model. But you can also build your own model on Python and R, and just upload that model here, and then compare the performance very easily. But here we're going to use the Advanced Visualization Modeler tool. So here I'm going to expand this, and this is a very easy to use application. So I can come here and drag and drop the input management, and then I'll do some outlier analysis. And I just click, link those two, and here I can come and edit this in order to see what are the outliers that are being discovered for this data set. And I can just I can select whether is the strategy for this kind of outliers. So for example, I can click here on cut those outliers, so we generate a nicer distribution. Now I'll just apply it, and going back, and then you can select what kind of model you want to use. In this case, I can say simply I want to do a random forest, for example, and then just go ahead and put it there, and I'll edit this, and I'll say I want 15 trees here. These are my predictors. I can just apply, or I have to run it first. Apply, then come back. And then I just have to come here and deploy it. All right. And let's just schedule it. Yeah. So now I have my newest model here. It doesn't have any data yet because it's not run yet. So I'll have to wait for a few seconds or minutes in order for this model to run. And now it is. It just finished running. So let's see if I can just reload this, or I think I have to reload or do something else. Let's see. Yeah, and there's my model. Like you can see, it's not a very good one, but at least it's something that, an example of what you can do with these kind of tools. Works in progress for this tool is to allow this kind of visualization modeling tool to leverage on the Solr streaming expressions. That's something we're focusing on right now. We're building all kind of different stages for leveraging all the Solr analytics components to be using from here. And let's go back here for a quick. Let's see. Okay. So some final thoughts on this. Basically, what we're trying to achieve here is to allow the analytics applications to be brought to a wider audience, and basically including analytics as part of the business processes. The final goal of our solutions is to fill the last mile gap on the analytics applications, because basically right now analytics is not really part of the business processes, where the business users can take decisions on those kind of insights in a real time. So this is basically what we're trying to achieve. So we're trying to have an end-to-end process here where many different kind of users interact with each other and with the data in order to generate better insights. And basically, we also have a lot of pre-built applications based on Design Studio for many different kind of industries. You can select one of these applications and start building on top of that. So we'd reduce the amount of overhead for the development teams for building these kind of new applications. So thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions regarding this. Yep.
So the availability of this tool, is this a paid-for product, open source? Is it an app? Paid-for, cloud-based?
This is AIP is a proprietary platform. So yeah, you have to pay for it.
So that would be for the platform itself. If you developed something using that, could you resell that application?
Well, basically, first you have to buy the license for using Design Studio and AIP, and then whatever you build on top of that, that's part of the outcomes or your application. But
So would the customer also have to buy the AIP and then our solution, or would we be able to just sell the solution?
well, I think that's a very good question actually, but I have to follow on that. But I know that they have to pay for a license first, for an ongoing license.
So a visualization that you build with AIP, does it exist independently, or does it need to have AIP to work?
Design Studio can work on its own without AIP, but the whole AIP infrastructure allows to have better tools around for data scientists, so they can leverage on the big data platforms on the infrastructure that they have underneath with the AIP execution engine.
A visualization that I build using AIP, can I take it and embed it in one of our other websites possibly?
Well, the idea of Design Studio is that you have the whole application in Design Studio. So you have to have the Design Studio to run it. I think I'll be fine. We're about to finish. So thank you very much for attending here. And if you have any other questions, just reach out to me.